All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This week I'm camped out in Flin Flon campground and we're going to fix the problem. I just needed a place to hunker down for a day or two. And if you remember in a previous episode, I had wrecked a rim because it came loose. And well, today we got some new rims, we got some new tires, we're going to get those put on. I'm going to show you the problems I have installing them and how we're going to overcome that. Plus mud flaps. If you remember in a previous episode, we've suffered some wiring damage in the back of the van, so we're going to put mud flaps on to help protect that, and then we're going to make some repairs. Let's get this on. Now here you remember is the old rim. This is actually the rim that got damaged, and I just have it sitting on here for demonstration purposes. So what had happened is that these lug nuts had come loose in transit, and the rim started slopping back and forth. It's a hub-centric rim, meaning the rim fits onto the hub. You can see it right here. There's a lip, and the nuts actually just hold the rim to that. So it came loose. It started slopping around. That slop will just, it doesn't matter how much you tighten it down, that slop will just come back. And it ended up breaking, if you remember in the other episode, it ended up breaking off 4 of these lug nuts, or studs, right? The bolts that are in there that the nuts hold on to. So we were going to upgrade to a nice set of Rhino ATAs. I'll show you a link. But due to tariffs, those rims went from $400 a rim to $750 a rim. So this is what we're replacing the old factory rims with. These are rims off a Ford F350, a 1-ton truck. I can't remember the year, but they fit. They've got the same spec other than the offset. Now, the factory rims are offset at, I believe, 94 millimeters, and that's how far in the tire is compared when it bolts on, in or out. And these ones are 102, I believe. And it's causing a problem because, well, we're going to show you in a minute here. It's hitting the wheel well. So we got a solution for that. So here's the issue I'm having. Because the wheels are farther spaced out by, I think it's like 10 or 11 millimeters, I'd have to check the exact specs. When that tire rotates, it's hitting here on this is the fender liner. This is just kind of what protects the body in there from road debris. Now, as you can see, when I first got it, like literally in the Ford dealership parking lot, I already trimmed back some of this fender liner. And what we're going to do today is we're going to trim it back to here and cut that out so it can be nice and flat so that wheel can rotate by. You can see the scuffing. Like, I've been running these tires for a month now already, letting them scuff it just so I can see how far I have to cut. Then we have this pinch weld. This is where the 2 body panels join. It's also just clipping that. So what we're going to do is I got a nice hammer here. We're going to take that and we're going to bend it over to make more clearance for the tire. You can check out Far Out Ride's website. They talk about doing this for going to a bigger set of tires than the maximum you're allowed. You can go one size up, but you also then will have to trim this pinch weld. I don't recommend cutting it, especially hopefully we can just take the hammer and just bend it over so it makes more clearance. Then we are going to install a mud flap. I don't have it in my hand here. Hopefully that's going to cover most of this hole here, and then I'll figure something out. But there's going to be some unique challenges there. So let's get the saw out and let's trim this. So to trim it back, I'm just going to use this little detail saw. We're going to cut to about up to here and just along there so I can have it nice and flat so that tire can skim by. All right, there we go. Now you can see the pinch weld nice and exposed, how it's just the 2 body panels joined together. I've seen some do-it-yourselfers where they take and they just cut that out. I wouldn't recommend it because if you can just bend it over, it doesn't even have to be bent over very much. Just get yourself a nice big ball peen hammer like that, and let's get the camera out of the way and take some swings. All right, here it is. Nice little close-up. You can see how it got bent over. You can see how much clearance I gained for that tire. All right, so we've got the pinch weld bent over, got some more clearance, and then what I also have here, this is just a heavy-duty mud flap from Canadian Tire. We're going to install these on the van. I don't like, I'm not going to use they come with self-drilling screws, right? I don't know if you want to see them, they're right here. I don't like using those. We're going to use a rivet gun, it's a little better. We're going to use an existing bolt and use that to also help mount. And also we have a problem. The door, this whole part of the trim here is actually a part of the door, and it opens with the door. And I'll show you an example. So part of the thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to mount the mud flap to the body, and then we're going to mark it and trim it off here, and then this part separately is I'm going to attach it along here, because as you can see, because of the new tires and that they're sticking out, it's flinging mud all up the side of my van. And let's try and protect that paint a little while longer anyway. All right, so let's just kind of stuff her in position here. Something like that. I think that's going to work pretty good. Now we just got to put some rivets in. All right, so now we got her bolted on. You can see it's nice and tight, but we're gonna have to trim her across here and up, because this piece of rubber has to open with the door. I don't know in the end how this is gonna turn out, but well, we're gonna give it a try and see what it goes. So we just put that piece back right like that. Now it's just to go along and rivet it to that plastic trim, and it should open and close with the door. All right, so there we are. That worked out pretty good. We got the mud flap on. It's mostly joined to the fender liner. I'm not sure what we're gonna do in the back, because the back doesn't have fender liners. I did put one rivet through the pinch weld. I'm going to try and drill out and put another one down lower, so hopefully those will support the weight, and the liner will just orientate it. It seemed to work out pretty good where I cut it so that it can open and close with the body trim. I think where those cut spaces are, I'll just, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe when I get a soldering iron, I'll see if I can just smooth them over so that they don't look cut, or I can get a little piece of trim that'll fit over there to make it look like a finished product anyway, but I don't think you're even gonna notice. And it looks like the mud guard will gonna come up high enough, at least with the mud spray pattern that's on my van right now. That's gonna protect those tires from flipping up the paint. So let's get the tire back on. I've got nice blacked out lug nuts, and and because these rims off the Ford F350 have a smaller center cap, I've got nice little, well, skull emblems, right, to go along with the pirate theme. Us Vanlifers were pirates. So I thought I'd buy these little skull center caps that look, I don't know, they look kind of cheesy, to be honest. Like, I'm 51 years old. But whatever, we're gonna put them on there, and I just imagine somebody's gonna steal them anyway. So let's get these tires back on and see what it looks like. I think they look pretty good. Ford factory rim, not the one from the Transit, of course, but from the F350s, I believe. I'm not even sure what year, but made them work. Had to make a little extra room. Showed you how to do that. It's just a pinch weld, bend it over, trim back the fender liner. Good to go. I think they look pretty cool. And yeah, little skull in the middle. A little cheesy, but whatever. Gotta have those personal touches on your van. So all right, I gotta do the other side, and then we gotta do the back. I think the back we're gonna do tomorrow. I think this is gonna be a 2-day job. So I did run into a bit of a problem here. When I was hammering out the pinch weld and bending it over, I accidentally hit a wheel stud. You notice I actually hit it pretty good because I knocked it right out. They're just kind of a friction fit that come in from behind. I don't know if you can see here. I can get to focus on that, but you can see where the hammer hit and it wrecked the threads. But when I was planning for this job, I was prepared. And I bought brand new wheel studs. So those wheel studs, they just come in through the back here. Now this is not a necessity, but I went and bought myself a wheel stud installation tool, which is basically just a bearing, right? Put that over the stud. Let me see. 14 by 1.5, that's this one. I think what I'm actually going to do is just use this. One of the old nuts. You just have to snug it up, because when you go to torque the wheel on, that's what's going to give it the proper seating. If you replace a wheel stud, I recommend that you retorque it a few times after you put the tire back on, just to make sure that it's on. And there we go, good as new. New stud installed. So it's not ideal. Obviously the tire is making a small amount of contact because that rubber of the floor mat, the rubber of the mud guard is pretty thick. But it is just hanging on that fender liner, so it can move out of the way. There's flex, and it's a smooth surface, so nothing to catch. We're gonna give it a try for a while, see how it works. Maybe this winter we're cutting those mud flaps off. But for now, should do the trick. Now for the back, it's gonna be a little different. I've got a lot more clearance, so I don't have to worry about it that way, but there's actually nothing to hang the mud flap on. So we're going to get a strip of metal and we're going to make a hanger, I guess. Figure that out as we go along, but I'm off to Canadian Tire to go get this the metal strap. Now you can see in here There's no fender liner for me to attach my mud flap to. So I got some aluminum flat bar, and I'm just gonna make a brace across the straight there, and I'll probably make a brace to support the weight of it up there. And then we'll just hang our mud flap off of that. Not bad for just a generic MotoMaster heavy duty mud flap. Well, it's the next morning. We're getting ready to leave the campground. And this is the first time driving it after putting the mud flaps on. So hopefully when I make this corner, I am not gonna hear any noise. But let's find out. It was rubbing before, so this should be an improvement. There we go. No rubbing noise. Okay, I got to make a loop around the campground here. We'll have to see how these mud flaps do in the winter. Ice build up and snow. That's going to be the kicker. But yeah, I'm not hearing any rubbing. Like, I know those mud flaps are close and they were making contact, but they're flexible. They can move out of the way, letting the tire go by. And I'm not, yeah, I think we're good. Oh, I'm gonna make a sharp 90-degree turn here. Oh, yeah, okay. In the sharp corner, there's a little bit of rubbing. All right. Well, we're just gonna see how that goes. This is gonna be the end of the video. I need to get the sun out of my face, but I'm heading off to work today, and we're just gonna monitor. So I'll give you an update on how these mud flaps are doing. Worst comes to worst, I just have to take the front off, and there'll be lots of clearance if I take the mud flaps off the front. It was the back ones that I needed, remember, to protect the back bumper, and now that we have that back bumper protected, we're gonna get into the wiring next video. So all right, guys, that's it for this vacation. That's it for this video. Just get out there, stay safe, and have some fun, guys. Live your life. All right, catch you next time.